fat Black women are often like at the forefront of trends, doing the most interesting stuff. So why wouldn't you want to include them?
I was a fat kid in the 80s, which meant that the only clothes I could buy at the store were either sweatsuits or business suits. So I could either look like Violet Beauregard in Willy Wonka or Melanie Griffith in Working Girl. Only fat. Everything was shoulder pads. Why? While everyone else was looking like Dynasty, I was looking like the Denver Broncos. And why is it that so many plus-size clothing stores sell more scarves and chunky necklaces than actual clothing? Is it like, if you're looking at all the bling up here, you're not gonna notice all the swing down here? But in the early 19th century, fat was the height of fashion. So what went wrong? Let's shoot the breeze with Bethany Rutter. Bethany, thank you so much for agreeing to do this and talk to me about fat fashion.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm a little bit older than you are, a little bit. So I'm curious to learn from you what shopping for clothes was like for you as a young fat person.
Yeah, I feel like the kind of early noughties in the UK, the fashion landscape was quite a weird place. Like I remember there were some like high street brands that would stop at like a UK size 14, which is like a US size 10.
The rest of us should just be naked?
Yeah, because how are you really meant to express your identity through your image if you don't have access to anything that is remotely interesting to you or speaks to you?
Did you have shopping experiences with your friends and contemporaries? Like for me, it was just going with them to the mall and watching them put on clothes and saying, oh, that looks cute.
That's literally the opening scene of my first young adult novel, is like the experience of shopping with your friends as a fat teenage girl, because I just feel like it's something that so many people are like, that was a profoundly alienating experience for me. And I was like, this is something that everyone who has been there will understand.
You're like, I guess I'll buy these earrings.
These shoes are cute.
You have a lot of experience in fashion. Why do you think in 2021, with all of the forward movement we've had in body positivity, fat acceptance, that it's still not great in terms of fashion? That I still need to know that there's like 3 places that I can find clothes that are actually cute and not just huge, horrendous patterns?
Because body positivity has become so mainstream, brands don't understand that they have to actually make like tangible changes to what they offer in order to kind of fulfill that principle. They can just be like, here's a size, UK 14 girl in our photo shoot and we're body positive now. And that doesn't change anything.
So it's a marketing message rather than an actual material. You need to make bigger clothes for different bodies kind of thing. It's so weird to me because people try to act like fashion for fat people is a new thing. Like you have an example of someone like Lillian Russell. She was a woman who lived in Victorian era. She was, over 200 pounds, which like everybody's fat's like, oh, she got 2 bills on her? Yes. All right. Yeah. Now we can talk. But like she was the height of Victorian fashion and her like soft, beautiful fat body. And, people just wanted to see the luxuriousness of fashion on her body. Are you aware of her existence and how did we lose that?
Yeah, it's really interesting because at one point, wasn't she like the most photographed woman in the world? Very kind of glamorous and also very kind of desired and desirable.
Yeah.
And I wish that had been the beginning of a beautiful trend rather than what feels like a bit of an outlier.
You also have someone like Madam C.J. Walker, who isn't necessarily someone that we think of as like a fat icon. She was like, a Black woman of size. Obviously, she became, the first sort of female self-made millionaire. And she was motivated to make, hair care and then other beauty products for Black women. I wonder if you see any parallels in what Madam Walker was able to do and what potentially has happened in fat fashion.
Yeah, I feel like surely anything that is good for fat women is good for all women, because I feel like the one thing that most non-fat women are most afraid of in their lives is being fat. So anything that we can do to remove those barriers to like, this would be the literal worst thing I would literally rather be dead than be fat. And there
That's
have been
how some people feel about it, and they will say it out loud in your presence.
Yeah. I think that anything that tangibly removes these barriers between what is fat, what is thin, what the experience is for fat women, what the experience is for thin women, I think that can only be a good thing.
We're definitely starting to edge into our more militant phase of the conversation when the sort of BBW movement came about.
I don't know how you feel about the designation BBW, because for me, it always felt as something that's like thrust upon me, as a kind of category. But I feel like for many fat women, it's definitely associated more with like porn and fetish stuff. Yeah. I'm sure there are loads of amazing, cool fat women who choose to identify in that way. But I think also for a lot of us, it is a thing that is,
most fat women encounter that phrase on dating sites, on porn. So I don't think that a lot of modern women take that title on themselves because it has these sort of fetishized connotations. Can we talk about Precious Lee? Because we are now in the modern era of fat fashion, and she is an important icon that I don't think enough people are aware of.
Yeah, she is an amazing, actually, more plus size than most plus size models, because you and I both know that the size of a plus size model is often not really
they're a size 14 and they've got a skinny waist and a big butt. So I'm just like, okay.
Yeah, she's definitely this kind of statuesque beauty. She is Black and she has done incredibly well as a plus size model. I feel like not enough people know her name, and she does not occupy the same position in the kind of consciousness of the plus size world narrative as someone like, for example, Ashley Graham. I feel like there is no reason other than, may we say, racism, that Precious Lee does not have that kind of stature that Ashley Graham does.
Yeah. Any thoughts on that Vogue cover?
Well, she always looks hot 100% of the time.
Like, pretty much. She's definitely on the smaller size of plus size, but it's still great to see that body represented, not on a Hollywood actress, but like, this is a model. This is a beautiful body. Have a look. Enjoy. Yeah.
Precious Lee, the time that I have thought that she looked the absolute most amazing was in stuff she's done for Versace.
Okay.
But I just feel like, maybe using models like her is a distraction from the fact that the fashion industry is not particularly inclusive.
It's still just a sort of like token gesture.
And if you look at the kind of surveys of percentages of plus size models used at the big fashion week, so like Milan, Paris, New York, and London, that has declined in the last few years. So it's got worse, it hasn't got better. Yeah.
Really?
In terms of what can be done, I think white influencers who are approached about campaigns or about photo shoots or about any kind of work by a brand need to ask, like, are there Black women involved in this? And are we all getting paid the same? And like, what's going on behind the scenes? And I feel like that would be a very, tangible way of making sure that people are included and getting paid. And also a message to the brands that like, this is something that people care about. And it's not just the people who you think would be affected. It's like, this is a collective effort by everyone to kind of change these practices.
Yeah.
Black influencers are doing the most interesting stuff. So why wouldn't you want to include them?
Would you speak to what you've seen in the fat acceptance world online and, point us in the direction of some people we maybe want to be looking at more?
A lot of the most interesting plus size women on the internet are fat Black women. It is, definitely a known thing that fat Black women are often like at the forefront of trends, doing the most interesting stuff and getting the least credit for it. and getting paid the least for kind of collaborations and paid stuff. So I think anything that we can do to like shine a light on these cool babes. So a few of my faves. One is Stephanie Yeboah. It's only in the last couple of years that she has really kind of got what she is due, and I'm really loving watching her thrive now. From Canada, I really love Naomi Shepard. I just love seeing what she wears because I'm like, I would never in a million years have seen someone dressed like this in my day.
Yeah.
Like before the internet, you know, because people really want to talk about like the internet is horrible for young people's mental health. And I'm like, my mental health exponentially improved once there was like a diversity of body shapes in front of my eyes.
When you realize you weren't the only one and there were hundreds, thousands more like you. And in some ways, like, the internet can be horribly cruel to fat people. But when you are able to find other fat people, suddenly you can learn so much more about yourself. It's hard to learn about yourself in a context of everyone being nothing like you. What do you think is the future of fat fashion? Is it going in one direction versus another? What would you like to see?
In general, I just think we need to be less grateful for the bones that we're being thrown. You know, when a brand or a celebrity uses the kind of veil of body positivity, we need to be like, you know, interrogate that and, you know, maybe be a bit more kind of rude and demanding in terms of like body stuff, race stuff, the intersection of body stuff and race stuff, gender, you know, sexuality. Like, just be a bit more like, okay, but what does this actually mean? Like, you're doing this body positivity campaign. What does that mean? What does that mean in the context of like you only going up to a UK size 18?
Yeah, I love, like, the future of fat activism is us being a lot less grateful for whatever you're giving us and a lot more demanding about what it is that we're going to go ahead and need.
I just feel like, you know, seeing Simply Be go from Oxford Street, seeing all of these brands take out their plus size ranges from their central London shops, we know that we have so much money to spend, we're willing to spend it. And we've just been shown over and over again that like brands just don't care
about millions and billions of dollars and pounds that they could be making. If there was one change that we could make now that you think would lead us into a brighter future, what would that be?
I think it is from a kind of fashion design education point of view, teaching anyone that enters any kind of fashion college, teach them the basic skills of grading patterns up, designing for fat bodies, because that's so often used as an excuse as to like, we don't have the expertise, it would be so expensive to hire an expert to like size stuff up. We need that education from like day one. That needs to be baked into what you're expected to be able to produce when you graduate from your fashion college. I think that's like a fundamental part of this puzzle.
It's not acceptable for you to be in fashion and clothe only a percentage of people. I think that is really insightful and brilliant. As you say, always great to talk to another fat woman and just be like, how's she doing it? And what does she know? Because we need to stitch this all together. It's been really great meeting you. Thank you so much for coming on today.
It's been so fun. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely a pleasure. Thank you. If you want to watch more of these videos, subscribe to my channel.